Okay, I'm taking a break from showing the Lost Olympiad 1937 because a couple of weeks ago I read in a forum that they said, are there books about Steinitz? And honestly, I could only remember that I had this book that is mainly a biography. There are at the end 15 games because Grandmaster Soltis commented them. But mainly it's a 600 pages biography or something like that. Instead, then I found in my library this. And the great thing is, I had the impression that Steinitz was born in Austria, while he was born in Prague, in the former Czechoslovakia. And in Austria they were using this kind of chess set in their coffee shop where the people would play. Now, I would like to read you one thing that I believe is interesting because it's tragic in a sense, but we discover it from this book, okay? And Steinitz biographer Kurt Landsberger could establish only relatively sketchy information about Steinitz's earliest years. He was born into a poor Jewish family in the overcrowded Prague ghetto. Wilhelm, originally Wolf, was the seventh of 14 siblings, 6 of whom died at very early age. Can you imagine? Practically out of 13, the 50% died. It's crazy. His mother died when he was 9. He may have learned to play chess at about 12 and possibly move out of his father's home at 15, by 15, okay? So it's clearly really a harsh life if we think about it. And imagine that today, in our time, if a kid starts to play at 12, nobody would tell him, oh yeah, you're going to become world champion. Because generally at 10 you must be already a grandmaster. In any case, I'm sorry for the life that Steinitz had. It must be a very hard life, yet he was able to clearly pull himself out. The game one of this book, because this book is made with this format called move by move, in which the author gives you some questions in critical moments. It has only 35 games. I will show about 7 of them, and I start with game 1 against this Ampi that is white and Steinitz that is black, played in Vienna, so this is the chess that they could have used, in 1859. Karl Ampe was a senior Austrian government official that lived from 1815 to 1876 and was one of Steinitz's most competitive Viennese opponents. Okay? The game starts with e4, e5, knight c3, and this already gives us that this is a Vienna opening, knight f6, and now there is the usual f4, okay? d5 to counter the center, and he takes d5. Now, I want to show you this game because it seems that Nakamura played it too. And I find it kind of strange in a sense, but please let me show you. Knight takes d5, f takes e5. At this point it becomes evident that this diagonal can be used to attack the king. And you must be careful when you touch this because blood could come out. I mean, I don't know who invented this. It looks like the helmet of a German in World War One. I think some helmet had this kind of thing. Ah. Or, I mean, if you want to check your blood for blood sugar, this could be one of the things used. Okay, so with that said, now, what do you think Black will play in this position? No? Steinitz played knight takes c3. Why? Because you see, this is the problem. If you play queen h4 right away, and he plays this, you cannot play this, that it's a usual thing that happens in this kind of games, because the knight c3 is controlling e4. So again, you need to play something else, or you need to have calculated in advance this kind of line, right? Let's see, after g3 you want to go here, so you have to take, right? That's the point. But at this point it takes back. Knight d1, rook takes, king takes d1, and now it could be two at least continuation. One could be bishop g4 check or knight c6. Let's take the one with knight c6 because you want to develop your pieces and attack something. Knight f3 defend the pawn e5 and bishop g4 attack this, practically spinning, right? Bishop e2 unpins it, castle, and rook e1. Okay, so this happened in a 24th century game. Why Steinitz didn't play a similar line or this line? Probably because he wanted to keep the queen on the board. Honestly, I don't like very much White's position because of these pawns that are double and isolated, and here it's also all crowded. Okay, we are at move 11 and White has some kind of way to find to develop the pieces because it's all blocked. It seems to me that Black's position is more fluid. And both of them have a bishop here, so it's not going really bad for any one of them. Now let's go back to the game. So we were in this position and we saw that Steinitz didn't play queen h4, probably because he wants to keep the queens on board. So what did he play? He played knight takes c3. B takes c3. Is playing toward the center because probably he wants to create a pawn chain, he wants to control the center. But at this point queen h4 is possible. At this point queen h4 is possible. So what do you play as White? You cannot play this because now this is real and this is lost, okay? So clearly you have to move a king. Isn't it crazy? We are at move 7 and the king is in the center, so who would really play this kind of opening? I don't know. Well, the answer is Hikaru Nakamura played this kind of opening. Can you believe it? So after bishop g4, here in the game Ampi played knight f3. And knight c6 was the answer. But in this point Ampi played d4. Instead it seems the best move, and here you can pause if you want to try to find it out for yourself. For White it's queen e1 that was played by Nakamura. Nakamura played this move in 2 games. One against this Sophie Millet, or Millet, in Cup Tagged in a rapid game 2010. So the rapid game, yes, you can play some strange opening, right? Because you want to take the opponent out of their theoretical preparation. Yet it's kind of ugly, right? But it seems that in this kind of opening, what is white aiming to is to keep the bishop pair and destroy the opponent with the bishop pair. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? So that game continue with queen takes e1, king takes e1, bishop takes f3, g takes f3, knight takes e5, and king f2. So imagine she played this kind of move, I think. It doesn't make much sense to me. No, wait, in reality Sophie Millet played a different move and she lost. That's the crazy thing. No? But this is probably the best continuation for black in that position. And again, the point here is that white has the bishop pair. Why it's important? Because lately, if you have played against an engine also which is not very strong, they always try to keep the bishop pair, and an engine will really kill you with the bishop pair. It's crazy, but it's true. So it's possible that Nakamura has made a lot of training using the bishop pair, and that's why he was able to overwhelm his opponent thanks to it. Let me show you one thing. I want to show you the one of the bishop pair that he played. Okay, I put the position back. So Nakamura played this, okay, and Sophie Millet played bishop takes f3, g takes f3, gaining the bishop pair in a double-edged middle game white won. So that's the kind of interesting part, that he was able to win this kind of game with this that is hanging, with this and this that are isolated pawns, just thanks to these two. Wow, that's kind of amazing. And the position, come on, it's ugly for white, and yet these grandmasters are really great at the end game, and once they enter in the end game, like Magnus Carlsen, they have ideas and continue to fight up to the moment, little by little, they upset the opponent and make him or her fall down. But the fact that, look how beautiful is the pawn formation by black. I don't think there is a middle game manual that tell you that this is better for white, and yet it proves it is. Notice that Nakamura played the same game against Onishuk in 2010, always in St. Louis, but it ended up in a draw. So against another grandmaster, he wasn't able to prevail. Okay? Now let's see the game of Ampi against Steinitz. So this was the position we paused and discussed the best move, that is queen e1, to which black should play probably queen h5 to avoid that endgame that I talk about. And here Ampi, that obviously was playing more than 100 years before and didn't have access to computer training, played d4, castle, and here, strangely, there is something that is considered a mistake. The mistake is bishop d2. Now, this is a very critical moment. This is why this series of books, move by move, is nice, because the authors, they stop at critical moments like this and tell you, please, take your time and find what is the best move for black. Notice that Steinitz didn't find it. It's a very strange move, not because it's a sacrifice. A sacrifice, okay, it's possible, but because it requires calculation that doesn't come easy to humans, in my opinion. Okay? So, if you are ready, I will show you what black should have played. In the game, black played bishop takes f3, okay? This is pin, because this is the king, right? So this cannot move. So this is not really protected well, okay? But to imagine that you should play rook takes d4, I don't know, it's difficult. And yet this move you will see, brings to a kind of a checkmate. That's incredible, but it's true. For example, after this, c takes d4, knight takes d4, again this is pin, cannot move. What do you do here as white? You have at least two possibilities. One is king e3 and one is king d3. If you play king d3, there is bishop f5, boom. This is a check, but what's important of this bishop f5 is that the fourth rank now is controlled by the queen, so you cannot take this. So imagine how crazy it is, this idea. This is pin at the moment, it was pin, but this went here, right? So it's not pin anymore, now it can really take. But you play this, and they are all trying to hold each other, no? Protect each other. So let's say that white plays king c3. Well, at this point there is knight takes f3, and you say, well, why is that important? I can take, right? Yeah, I can take. Who cares? Well, maybe you should think again. Can you see what is this? This is a checkmate. Okay, you see, it cannot go here, cannot go here, cannot go here. It cannot take because it's protected. So remember, it's very important to do your own checkmate training. No? Here there are more than 1000 positions, all the possible checkmates are discussed. Would you ever thought that after rook takes d4 the checkmate could come out? Evidently not. Now let me bring the position back, because we analyze what happens after king e3. I mean, the position, if you watch the position like this, it seems very, very solid, right? To think that you can play rook takes d4, boof, it doesn't make any sense. C takes d4, knight takes d4, and this time we see this, king e3, okay? What does it play after king e3? Well, this is not really pin anymore, so this must go. That's a fact. But after this, you see finally the power of pieces coming out. You see, the white army is in disarray, the king is in the center. This is a typical mating net. Bishop c5. And now, again, you could pause the video and find all the ways that white can get checkmated. For example, king e2, queen f2, king d3, queen d4, king e2, as you say, well, but what do you do? Do you return back to f2? No, because again, you must see the power of this absolute pin. Boom. Can you imagine? The absolute pin you cannot take because it's pin. Where does it go? This is control, right? It cannot go back, it cannot go here. The only thing is here. But at this point, the game is over. So, as you can see, Steinitz should have seen this crazy line, which wasn't so easy to see, because, I mean, come on, who would have thought to play rook takes d4. But rook takes d4 is the winning move that actually crushes white in 6-7 moves. So it's crazy, but it's true, it works. In any case, Steinitz instead played bishop takes f3, g takes f3, and here knight takes e5. Also, this is a powerful sacrifice, right? But this is the point. When you have a king in the center, you need to open the lines, you need to attack. Once more, the best move at this point is probably this one, because you want to exchange the queens. When you are attack, you want to exchange the most powerful piece to relax the attack, to take it out. But obviously Ampe thought, well, let's take and see if you are able to actually keep that advantage. And as you can see, now it's a typical Morphy's game, when Morphy just bring out all the pieces and give you checkmate. And this is the same for Steinitz. He just bring out his pieces and the game is over. Now, there is a possible checkmate here, because you see that he cannot escape, right? So, at this point, you should start to calculate how black gives checkmate, actually. Especially after this move, Queen e1, that I just told you, he wants to make it happen, right? And he wants to escape. So, try to pause the video and find out at least the next 2-3 moves by black, because this exercise will definitely improve your chess. Why? Because you could find yourself in a situation like this in a chess game in tournament, so you need to have good calculation skills. Queen c4, check, king d1, and once more we exploit the absolute pin. Here there is an absolute pin. This is pin, which means this is not defended. Okay? Queen takes e3, boom. Which is attacking also this, okay? And the rook b1. I think it's fair to say that you should have calculated at least this, okay? It's not so difficult to calculate because they are fourth moves. How do you continue from here? Steinitz continue with queen takes f3, and queen e2 was the move played by Ampe. Now keep in mind that the goal of this game is to give checkmate. That's why you should start to study chess from checkmate patterns. Yes, you shouldn't start with the openings. Checkmate patterns is all you need to actually improve in the game. Once you finish to study a book with like 1000 type of checkmates and exercises, then you go to some simple and basic endgames. And that will really make you a strong player. In any case, at this point, can you see how black continued from this position? Try to pause and think for yourself, because this is the reason why you are watching this video. Partly because, yes, it's a book review and you say, I want to know if I want to buy that book, if it's interesting for me. And as you can see, the games selected by the author are interesting. But at the same time, you want to gain something out of it, which means to improve a little your chess. And to improve, you must put yourself in the black side and find the right continuation. Steinitz continued with rook takes d2, king takes d2. Obviously, there is not much other moves, right? Otherwise you're losing everything. As you can see, he's not interested in this. He's interested in giving checkmate, okay? He's not interested in getting material. That's why I told you, learn the checkmate patterns. He continues with rook d8. Boom. Obviously at this point the king must try to escape on c1, but of course he would have won also if white sacrificed the queen, okay? Eventually by the book you will see also the line that has been shown in the book. Bishop e3, sorry, rook b2, trying to block it, but at this point queen c3. Again, you see this is blocked, so he's trying to give checkmate here, okay, because he's interested in giving checkmate. That's all that matters. Now white tried to escape from it with bishop h3. No, that doesn't work because it's not really saving him. King b8, queen b5, trying to save this, but once more it doesn't work. Now once more, please stop the video and see how would you finish white in this position. It's a very simple checkmate. You can see it, you can see it. Remember, this is a pin, so it cannot go anywhere. It seems that the move played was queen d2. Why? Because after this, what do? You sack the queen, and after it takes is checkmate. Okay, so this is a beautiful back rank checkmate. As you can see, you can learn from a book like this, the checkmates, or you can learn watching the games of world champion top players, because they will show you all the wealth of patterns, tactical patterns and checkmates that actually happen in the game. And it's very important, obviously, to watch games like Steinitz or Murphy, because they are very basic, and so you will learn all these typical basic and pattern of tactical patterns and basic checkmates that happen in a game, because in that time there was a big difference between the professionals and the non-professionals. I hope you enjoyed this game, and the next one will be game 2.